I'm Nancy Jo Lambert, and I'm coming at you live and in person from Reedy High School and Frisco ISD. I'm going to be sharing with you guys a little bit today about how I build inquiry with my students and teachers here at the high school level. I do want to point out that, like Brandy was saying, my website, everything that I've done since 2011 is on here. So there's a lot of elementary content as well. If you go to readylibrary.com and you click on this little search readylibrary.com, you can search by, an author or a lesson topic or a research topic. And then these category links here. So when I was at McSpadden Elementary, I had, let's see, all the different, and Bogart Elementary both. So there's all different categories here that you can explore as well later down the line. So if that's, of interest to you, those resources are there for you. This is my email, lambertin@friscoist.org. I feel like having been CRT and Tassel chair now, a lot of people have my email because they get emails from me. But there it is, in case you didn't have it. You can find me on the Twitters at Nancy Jo Lambert, and I'm out there doing all the library things. So come join me on the Twitter if you're not already there, and if you are, awesome. So as Brandy shared, the bit.ly link is going to be on most of my slides going forward. So if you haven't pulled it up yet, you can pull it up at any time. It's just bit.ly/tassel19learn. So I'm just going to talk to you a little bit today about some of my favorite tools that I use with my teachers and students. This is just kind of an overview of the tools that I'm going to talk about and their uses. I'm a huge fan of Mac and Via. I've been using Mac and Via for years, and I've tried a lot of different tools and platforms for housing my digital content and my digital resources, and I find that Mac and Via is just the best tool for me. I have a generic login and password to my Mac and Via, so if you don't have Mac and Via and you want to explore mine, or you have yours and you're like, man, when I show you mine, you're like, my Mac and Via doesn't look like that, I can get you into my Mac and Via, and you can poke around all you want. Just shoot me an email and I can get that generic login and password for you to try. So I'm going to talk about Mac and Via. I'm also going to talk about S'more, because if you don't have Mac and Via, S'more, either the free or the paid version, are both great versions for housing digital content like what I'm going to show you today when you present it to teachers and students. I'm a huge advocate of YouTube as an educator. I have a YouTube channel, which I'm going to show you in a minute, and I highly, highly recommend that you, if your school district doesn't provide you with a channel, that you set up one. All you need is a Gmail account to get a YouTube account, and it's a great way for us as educators to put things out there that we're doing and make them really accessible to our kids. And frankly, the kids are a YouTube generation. They are not just watching YouTube, but they are being creators as well. And so by showing them that we share in that community experience with them, we're verifying with them and giving them that voice of, hey, this is a great space if you use it correctly and as a good digital citizen. Canva is a tool I use all the time, so I'm going to briefly touch on that. I'm also going to briefly touch on how I use Scribble in the inquiry process, and I'm going to apologize to you in advance because advisory is about to start and there's going to be an influx of kids, but it's going to be okay. Just stick with me. Scribble is a great tool as well, so I'm going to touch on that, and of course I'm going to talk about how I integrate Google Drive when I'm preparing research and resources for students and teachers. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you Mac and Via. So Mac and Via, this is my Mac and Via right here. Well, this is one of the pages in my Mac and Via. So here's my Mac and Via, and you'll notice that there's some different groups here on the home page, but what I really want to focus on in this webinar is this groups function right here. So these are groups that are currently being used by students, teachers, and classes on my campus, and these are what I put together where I collect and curate my digital content. Now, I'm fortunate to be on a campus where we have a pretty healthy campus digital ebook collection and digital audiobook, so those things are housed in here, but you can you can put videos, links, and all kinds of other information into your Mac and Via. So my Mac and Via has tons of videos. Most of these are screencast videos that I've made myself, put on YouTube, and then added to my Mac and Via. And then links. Links are basically any resource that has a URL. So not just web things, but Google Drive things. Really anything that has a URL you can put in here and house in your links. So when we look at my groups over here, I'm just going to pull up one of these, for example. Let's see which one. Oh yeah, I'm going to pull up this one. So this is a project that our students did recently, and you'll notice that up here in the view instructions, I have the assignment sheet linked here. So when the students open this, it shows them a nice clean copy of what could be referred to as a hyperdoc with all their student choices for projects and whatnot in here. And then in addition to that, I have linked research resources as well. So that is linked at the top of my Mac and Via group, as well as an APA references template copy link. So what's great about this kind of link is that the students can, actually I'm going to change it to this really fast. Just grab what you need. Oh, yes, if you can, Ian, that'd be great. Oh, I messed that up. Preview template. There we go. This is, well, I guess it's not going to let me do that, is it? Okay, so I always give the copy link to my students so that they can make a copy of their references page. So I'm just going to go ahead and click make a copy so you can see. So this is a copy of a template references page that I give my students. Anymore, they don't really need to be formatting their own references pages. There's plenty of tools and resources out there that they can do that with. And so I give them a template for that very reason. And then you'll notice that down here, there is a significant number of resources that students can use. And so right here, for instance, I have an image of a labeled for reuse, how to find images, Google search tools labeled for reuse. So that is something that they used on this project. I have my document that is specific to my campus, but this is my different types of sources document. So the students can see what are the different types of sources we're looking at, and we talk about bias, and we talk about you know, all the things when we're referring to different types of sources, how they can use that particular different source, and then in what databases they can find that type of source. And depending on their research project, what types of sources they're most going to need for that project. I also have in here a link to a Google Doc that highlights specifically using sources with academic integrity. So there's acceptable and unacceptable practices in here with links and everything that they need, from, you know, where to research to citations to paraphrasing, effective paraphrasing, how to use quotes, and all that kind of stuff. So I provide those types of resources in the group. And then you'll notice right here is my this is my video helper, which is what I was talking about with YouTube. So every project that I do with students, I create a video helper where I show them how to get into the resources, use them, and so that way for my kids that are absent, or the kids that are in day, you know, day 5 of the project and can't remember what to do, they have that video helper right there. This is another video helper for image searching on Google. And then you'll notice anything with this little globe right here, these are my databases. So these are the things that my district provides, but for each and every project, I pull in the specific databases that can be used for that project. And then you'll notice that I have some ebooks here, and what's great about the ebooks in my Mac and Via is that the kids can cite them directly from Mac and Via, so they can grab that citation to throw in their references page. And then I have some other links in here, the Noun Project, Unsplash. Some of these are just great places for them to get images. And one of the choices on that choice board was a QR, were new online newsletters, so they can't do links in Canva. So we made them, I gave them a link to a QR code generator as well. Let's see. All right, I'm just going to check and see. Okay, is everything still okay? I'm just looking at the chat. It looks like everything's still okay. All right. So this is an example of how I would curate and kind of cull all the different resources that I would use for a project with my students. And you'll notice that it's all in one place. And what I generally have them do is we start on the library website. And whenever they have something like this, they can click on the link to that project on my library website. And then they have the link to the Mac and Via group, and then they have the video helper right there as well. I also put on here just the different ASL standards that I'm touching with this project. And so all of that is all in one place and easy for them to get to. So S'more is something that I have used in the past. I don't really use it much anymore, but like I said, if you don't have Mac and Via, it's a nice alternative. I will tell you that Mac and Via is completely free. The platform is free. You can you get a one-time database migration into Mac and Via, so it's a great tool if you wanted to explore it. And but if you can't, something like S'more would be a great place to house all those different resources. I do want to show you my YouTube really quickly. So this is my YouTube channel. This channel is actually not the one that my district gave me. I actually started this before my district became a Google Apps for Education or G Suite district. And so I started this YouTube channel a long time ago. And I'm going to show you, let's just pull up the back end of my YouTube channel here for you. You can see I was moderating comments on that tab right there. So this is like the back end where you see all my videos and stuff. And I have been using this channel for years. I have tons and tons of videos on here. Let's see. And it's just a really great resource for my students to have those video helpers and to have access to that. So you can see that in the past I've created playlists. Students, when I was at elementary school, I would have them upload their projects to my channel, or I would upload them myself, and then I would create playlists and send the playlist out to the teacher when the projects were done, saying, you know, share these with your students and parents. They would put QR codes to the videos and the projects in their classroom so that the kids could see each other's projects. So it's just a really good resource to have, and you can cull other things in Mac and Via as well. Sorry, in YouTube if you wanted to make a playlist of trailers or anything like that. So I'm a huge proponent of YouTube. And what I do with my video helpers is I make a list each year of all the video helpers from that year, so I have a nice little playlist there, and then I'm able to use that later with my principal in my evaluation as evidence of my teaching. Canva, oh my gosh, I cannot say enough good things about Canva. Oh, let's see, is it gonna, there we go. So this is my Canva, and as you can see, I create just tons and tons of stuff in here. Everything from web graphics to newsletters to infographics, all kinds of stuff. Anytime I need to create a graphic for any reason, I pretty much, my go-to is Canva. And then also Google Drawings, but that's a whole different ballgame. But when I'm doing the images that I use on my website, I make sure that that image is the same on my website and on the project sheet for the students on Mac and Via, so they see that same image everywhere they go for their project. So Canva is awesome for that, and you can pick the size of things that work for Mac and Via, your website, or anything. Scribble is a tool that I use regularly with students, especially with my pre-AP and my on-level student, or sorry, my pre-AP and AP students. I encourage them to create a Scribble account. They can use their G Suite school Google account to create the account. And then when they have the account, so for instance, one time some students were 3D printing this green frog on a unicycle in the 3D printer, and they were building it from scratch, and the build kept failing because they didn't have the right supports in and stuff. And so I finally asked them, I was like, what is this frog on a unicycle? And then they giggled and laughed, and I was like, oh, this must be something dirty. I need to figure out what they're printing. I mean, it's a frog on a unicycle, but I didn't know. So I did a little research, and at the same time, the boys that were doing this 3D printing were also in a class where they were, the teacher had reached out to me and asked me to come do some lessons on, or do a lesson on in-text citations. So I went in and did all this research on Dat Boy, and let's just put it in here and I'll show you. And then I wrote a position paper using APA in-text citations about Reedy Library position paper on Dat Boy, and could the boys continue to 3D print this frog on the unicycle in the library. And so you'll notice it's not a very long paper, but I showed them how to use in-text citations, and I used Scribble as my vehicle to, I need this thing to go away. There we go. I used Scribble as my vehicle to house all my research, and you'll notice I have everything in here from dictionary definition of boy to a tweet of Dat Boy, and I found the origin of it and everything. So this is just a great place where the kids can create libraries. So I created a library for when I was doing my CTE digital citizenship stations, and I kept all of my links for that in here. And then you can also tag resources. So if the students are in multiple classes and they might be having several different projects going at one time, they can tag things so that they can find their information on just that particular item as they are researching, okay? So Scribble's great. It'll also allow them, the other piece of this that I love is that it will allow them to put, you can put articles from databases in here, you can put web content in here, you can put things from Google Drive in here, and it using the Scribble Tool Bar, once they log into their Scribble items and put the toolbar on here, I might have to pick something different. That might take too long to load. Let's just pull this up. Then they can pull up the Scribble Toolbar, and the Scribble Toolbar will allow them to annotate that web page or that article or whatever it is as they, well, it's taking too long to load. Oh, there we go. I want my Scribble Toolbar though. So here's my Scribble Toolbar. So they can highlight things, so they can come in here and highlight something. They can leave a little post-it note on it with their notes and information. The other piece of Scribble that I love, particularly with my pre-AP and AP students, is the ability to come over here and fill in the information. So if this is the citation, and we all know that citation generators typically will pull in whatever information they can find, but if they're not always complete. If I know the author of this or the missing information, I can go and fill this in, and then when I fill in that missing information, my Scribble library keeps that edited citation for me so that I can refer to that later. And so when I'm in my Scribble library, which, let's see if I can come back over here to it. So let's say I only wanted to use these 4 items. I pulled all these things in, but I didn't end up using them. I can tell it, hey, I want to go ahead and create my bibliography with just these items, and then I can change my citation style right here. I can tell it MLA or APA, and then the kids can just copy and paste these right into their references or works cited page. So it's a really great tool for research and inquiry, and I always make sure and show that to my students. Google Drive, huge proponent of Google Drive. I have tons and tons of stuff in my Google Drive. The different ways that I use my Google Drive when I'm doing research and inquiry with kids, one of my coaches came to me last year and said, I really want to do a book study. And of course the basketball players came to me and said, Miss Lambert, we really don't want to do a book study. We just really don't want to. And so I said, okay, let me think about this and I'll get back to your coach. So I got back to the coach and I said, how about instead of a book study, we do like a character study. And so they had this, the Reedy Basketball, their 5-finger thing that they did, and they asked, and so what I did was I took those and I found information relating to each of those things, different types of information, and like we did an answer garden here. I read aloud to them from this book that I had in the library. I read the prologue to them. We had discussion questions. They had a goal and task statement. So this was just one day. They came in and we did all these things in one day, and then they came back another day and we did these things. And again, I read aloud to them, and I will tell you, high school students still love to be read aloud to. And so I read aloud to them the joy chapter, and I won't be a bitter old man. And then we did all the, and so I found different web content. I found great videos. I found quotes, and we talked about quotes. I had them create Flipgrid videos. We had a Padlet reflection. So instead of it just being a book study, we took elements of reading and literacy and combined them with information and tools from online. And so that's just one way that I use Google Drive, because this is a Google site. So I made this in Google Sites, and this site, I then linked it on my library website. And so we can just pull it up here. And so that when the boys came in, it was very easy for them to go to readylibrary.com and click on this link and go right there into that site. So that's one way that I've used Google Drive. This is an example of a project sheet that my DLC and I might put together. And so you'll notice we have information about their task. Actually, I might pull up a different one to show you, because we are doing a really cool thing now where we put in our, well, I guess I could have gone to Mac and Via, but see, I'm so used, this is the pathway that I show the kids. I'm like, go here, do this. We did a podcasting thing with our students recently, so I'm going to show you this assignment sheet just because I feel like it's a little better example. So we used a photo from Unsplash, and we put the photo credit on it, modeling for them that good digital citizenship. So here they have their tech menu, they have their topic ideas, and so what happens is when they click on the document that they're actually going to be using for the assignment, that they're turning into their teacher, that they're using for the assignment, I'm going to have to make a copy. Whenever I click on this and open it, one of the things that we put now on our project sheets, or the sheets that the kids are using for the different assignments, so you'll notice that their works cited is embedded into this, so they can collect their research and notes right here. Their works cited is embedded in here. And then when we scroll down just a little bit, I might have too many tabs open. Which is totally something that I do. My computer's like, I don't want to do anything else. We'll just wait for a second. So one of the things that we have in a minute when I can scroll down is a digital citizenship tips, and we put those directly into the project. Oh, let's give it a minute. So these project sheets, oh dear. So these project sheets are really helpful to the kids because it gives them all the information in one place. It allows us to create them in Google Drive, where we can control the template. We can give them copy links. We can give them template preview links, all the different things that they might need for the assignment, and we're able to do that all through Google Drive. Oh, here we go. It's coming back. So I'm just going to close out some of these tabs. I think it's just running too many things. And so you'll notice right there, we always put our Bitmojis in there, and we just make these fun little digital citizenship tips that are embedded right there in the project sheet. So I'm going to wrap up, and I haven't really looked at the chat, so I'm going to go back, and Brandy can maybe help me with any questions that are there too. It's a lot of information to give you, I know, and but I just wanted you to have that. As always, like I said, you guys can contact me. My email and my Twitter and everything is on there, but I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing now, and so I can see, let's see, can I see it? Where is the chat? Oh, right here. Here we go. Okay. Did anybody have any questions?
Nancy Jo goes pretty fast and furious, and I know if you guys are like me, that once you see her doing all of this, I'm like, wow, I don't even know. Well, A, I don't know when she sleeps. B, how does she have all of this like creativity in her brain to get this all down? One of the things that I've started noticing as I've seen her do this presentation and just talk about how she does things is, she builds upon her, she's done one, and because she has some baseline stuff, then she's able to add to it for other things. So, she's not totally reinventing the wheel each and every time that she does it. So it's always a good idea to start with one and have your base, and then, just add to the same simple, things of she has these are the databases that I add. Oh, I make sure that they go through Google Drive. So a lot of templates that I see her use.
And one of the things I will say too is Canva makes it so easy for me to go in and create those groups, because like Brandy said, for any given project, I might have to add 2 or 3 links here or there, but for the most part, all that content exists in my Canva, and I'm able to just go through and click, 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 add those items in, and then, I work with my DLC to create those project sheets and put my links in there, and then for each one I do record a separate screencast video. But I would say on any given project, I can prep a project in anywhere from 15 minutes to maybe as much as an hour, depending on, how involved it is. But that's about the prep time for putting one of these things together. And like Brandy said, I have my own processes in place now, so I know, like, I start with the Canva group, and I make the Canva group, and then I go and make my Canva image, and I put the Canva image in my Canva group, and I put the Canva image on the project sheet, and then I update the project sheet, and I put that in the Canva group. And then once I'm done with all of that, I put it on my website, and then from my website is when I go and make my video helper, so that so I'm showing them from start to finish, how to access everything. But I've kind of honed that process over time. But you will find the tools that work best for you and the process that works best for you. And like Brandy said, taking the different components kind of item by item and making, start with your databases. Then are there any ebooks I can use if I have ebooks? Then what links do I need to add to this Canva group? And kind of build each project. But it's doable.
Well, and I just don't want anybody to feel that way, because it's what she does is very intimidating at times, and so I think that people sometimes don't break it down. And you guys have to remember, Nancy Jo's been doing this for a few years. So if you're looking at this going, oh my gosh, where's start one? Well, start one is think of your template, and what does that template look like, and what are you going to bring in? Most of us have text quests, so the first thing that you're going to look for is what are the text quest databases that I'm going to pull in? What are the print resources that I have here in the library? And then finally, maybe how are you going to pull in an ed tech tool? So, and like I said, Nancy Jo is very awesome about sharing her stuff. So even if you have a little bit of what I call a brain roadblock, go to her site, look at her stuff. If you email her or reach out to her, she's happy to share, and that'll maybe give you an idea of like, oh, I need to recreate this, or I need to, I want to do something similar to what she has. Try not to reinvent the wheel every time.
And I Google Hangout with librarians on a regular basis, and just, we schedule a time, and then I can go in and share my screen and kind of walk you through much more slowly than this, because I had a little bit of time. But I've spent a lot of time, coaching and helping other librarians through that process, because that's what somebody did for me. Somebody, helped me when I was figuring out how to make all this work and put all these pieces together. So I'm absolutely here as a resource to you, and I'm more than happy to slow things down and show you the back end of Canva. If you have a Canva, or you're going to get something, or you have a different tool in mind, I can, kind of help you with that if you want to. So I'm always willing to do all those things.
Okay, guys, so it's 12:30. If you guys have any other questions, please feel free to type them in. As always, I want to respect your time and get you guys back to your daily grind. One thing I do let you guys know is that we do have these webinars each and every week from 12 to 12:30. We will have 2 in March. The only reason that we're having 2 is because everybody's spring break fluctuates, so I didn't want to put 2 back to back. So we'll have one the very first week and the very last week. In the chat, I have just put a link to the s'more to show you what we're offering. The first week is about going rogue in Google Slides and some of the awesome things that you can do to manipulate a Google slide. And then the last week is how we do tech integrated book talks. So in there, it's you know the links to register. You do have to be a TLA member in order to enjoy these. Would prefer if you're a Tassel member too. But again, it's just if you guys want to get up and register them. So thank you guys for joining us so much today. Thank you, Nancy Jo, for presenting. You guys have a wonderful day, and we will see you guys next Wednesday.
Hi, guys. Thanks so much for coming. Reach out to me, really.